Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business, the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready?
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Entrepreneur Encounter. Today, we're going to talk about building better relationships with your clients. A lot of the times we fail to recognize that some of the people that we're working with are right in front of us, and these people are our clients. So operating a business is definitely time consuming, but it's so important to keep in mind that building relationships is a continued effort. There are a variety of methods in which you can demonstrate your commitment to your clients. Every relationship relies on open lines of communication. We say this all the time because communication is the foundation of any relationship that you are building. And you want to ensure that you are creating trust and letting your clients know that you are there for them at all times. And by keeping a good working relationship with your clients, you want them to keep coming back for more, meaning like giving you more work or referring you to other people as well.
I think that's my favorite way to grow a business is getting those repeat referrals while you're building that connection with a current client. I say it to maybe not on the podcast, but I do say it often is you really just need that one amazing client that you take the time to build a connection with. In real life experience, literally yesterday, I realized when I was on a quarterly sync call with a client, it was basically our 2-year anniversary of working together. 2 years. This wedding planner has been with me almost since I went full-time in my business. They took a leap of faith with me because I was transparent. I was like, I am working a full-time. I just quit my full-time job to do this. So I know the industry, blah, 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 but I'm still technically newer in virtual assisting. So they took a leap of faith with me and I went above and beyond. They worked with me as I was adding onto my team and delegating and they had trust and faith in me as their business manager and virtual assistant at the beginning. But now I was bringing on team members to help support so that I could focus more on strategy and dive into the Pinterest side of things since I was pivoting. And they stayed with me and they continued to bring me referrals. I've had easily 4 or 5 clients from this one client over the last few years. Some of them were one-time projects. Some of them, they were a repeat client for at least a year and then they pivoted and I pivoted and so forth. But they helped sustain my business. And it took that one relationship that I took time to build and continue to build because it's not a one-stop process. We're still learning each other. His business is changing and my business is changing and what that looks like for both of us. But we have that connection. We care about each other's goals so that we continue to support each other.
And that is the talk that we want. We want people to talk about us. We want our clients to say, hey, Sarah and Dana are the go-to people for this type of task. And it's so funny because I have a client and she tells people about me, but she doesn't want to share me, so to speak. She wants that's the business. If you want those referrals, so you definitely want to build that trust and build those relationships to ensure that your business is going to grow.
I had a client like that too. And I'm I will still give you support, but I need you to help me. I have revenue goals that I need to meet.
Exactly. And then what I have experienced as well, when you're creating that trust with your clients, I just recently had this experience where my client asked me if I wanted more work. I was like, yes, please, give me more work. So you have to, when you start your business and you're starting to build the relationships with your clients, yes, it's going to take time, but you showing up and you showing your clients that you are the go-to person, they're going to talk about you and they're going to refer you and they're going to give you more work.
So as early stage entrepreneurs, small business owners, what we're going to really focus on today are the 9 ways that we have used to build better relationships with our clients. It sounds like a lot, 9 things, but some of these are easy to implement and they only take a few seconds a day, or like small tweaks to something you're already doing. So the first one, as always, is that we talk about is our foundational soft skill is focus on communication.
So effective communication should be like the number one skill that you should focus on in any relationship that you're building. When everyone is busy focusing on getting work done, communication can tend to lack because you're so busy. But this is why it's important to clearly and consistently communicate throughout the time you are working with your client. So yes, you can be extremely busy one day and then you can forget that reaching out to your client, like to give them updates. But just like when you are communicating, know the communication channels that you have. So email, texting, Slack, whatever that you're using, you want to ensure that you're giving updates like, hey, I'm in the process of doing this. I know it's due today. You should have it done by the end of the day so that your client is not just waiting around. You want to make it clear at the beginning how you will work with your clients. So you want to communicate, hey, I'm only working between 9 and 2. So after 2 o'clock, I will be gone. You want to communicate those just to ensure that you don't have them texting you at 9 o'clock at night. But sometimes that happens, but you have to be very clear on how you want them to communicate with you. Communicating with your clients will make them feel that you are there for them and for them only. So of course, you may have 2 clients, 3, whatever the number is. But again, you are taking the time to communicate with your clients. They will feel more at peace with the work and the relationship that is had between the 2 of you.
I think going along with communication is when you're communicating is to have positive energy with your clients, honestly, with your team as well. As business owners, we all know we wear a lot of hats, especially in those early stages before we have the ability to delegate, from like marketing to managing multiple clients. If you're lucky to have multiple at the beginning, to putting out the occasional fire for your clients. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but your clients can't see your to-do list. They see the person they're working with. So showing up in a positive light is so important. Now, if you are overwhelmed and you have that relationship built with your clients, I'm going to use the same wedding planner. Like, it's been 2 years. We have that relationship established a couple of weeks ago. It was a great day, but by the afternoon, for some reason, panic from I still don't understand where set in. And I was functioning through it, but I still was like, my chest was tight, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I let them know that in our meeting. I was like, I'm having a very off afternoon. So whatever we talk about, I will get to, but it will not be as quick as I normally do. And the relationship was there, but I was still in a positive manner. Like, I wasn't cranky about it. I wasn't manic when I was telling them. I still had a smile on my face, but I was very honest with them about where I was at that day. And he was understanding, I got that grace, but they were still confident in the fact that I was remaining positive about getting their work done and understanding and learning more about their goals, because it was a big quarterly strategy call that we were doing and what the next 12 weeks was going to look like. So me creating that positive atmosphere set the tone for that call, even though I had to be honest and say internally, I was a little on the roller coaster side of things, but they were happy that I still chose to show up for him and to his business and to learn his goals for the next 12 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. We're all humans. We're going to have bad days. We're going to have those off days, and we're just going to feel like we want to cry, because I've been there. being stressed and all that stuff. But that we're not saying, we just got to be transparent, like be open with our clients, be open with yourself. Know that there's going to be times, of course, you're going to have bad days. You just want to ensure that, like Dana said, that you want to show up positive for your clients. Because imagine if you go into a meeting and you're just dragging and you're just like, I don't want, like, you're giving that attitude, like you have the tone in your voice of like, you don't want to be there. That's going to set off some red flag. This person's probably not going to want to work with you. So you just have to make sure that depending on who your client is, depending on the relationship and how open and honest that you can be with them, treat your client as an individual. Obviously, when we go into business, we want to make money. Of course we do. But you have to remember that the person that you're working with is, in fact, a human being, and they want to be treated as such. We're serving our clients. They're not a number. It's not all about transaction. Like, we want to ensure that, hey, even doing like check-ins. So for example, I work with 2 teams and I do weekly check-ins with the teams. Like, hey, like, how are you doing today? Like, what do you need for this week? And this and that. It's just making sure that they are set up for success. So as the business manager working behind the scenes, yeah, I do a lot of organization, admin, making sure all the teams are set up for what they need to do for that week. But you just want to, again, make sure that you are treating your client as a person and not just a number.
I think something that goes along with that is sharing your knowledge. One of the big shifts that I saw in the last few years is getting rid of the phrase, well, that's just how it's done, whether it's within your team organization or whatever. Like, and don't get me wrong, I am a big believer in processes and workflows.
Yeah.
But as business owners and service providers, that kind of answer leaves your team and your clients feeling lost and a little disconnected. The truth is, most clients want to know the whys and hows of how their goals are being met. And you can just leave it a blank. Well, we're going to do some outreach on social media. Well, great. But what does that mean? How are you going to outreach? Are you just going to schedule a post and hope for the best? Are you going to track analytics and make adjustments weekly or monthly? Are you going to comment, like, and share other vendors or social influencers informate, like, their posts, like, to build that community? Like, what does that mean? So there might be a few who just want the end result, and that's great. If that's what they need, I have clients like that. They don't care about the how and why. They just want to see that, okay, they're getting bookings and they don't really care how it happens within a degree. But then I do have clients that are more handheld and want to know the ins and outs. They're curious about the process. I am a person that is curious about the process. I want to fully understand something. I may not necessarily want to do it, but I want to understand what's happening. So I feel more engaged and slightly in control of the process, even though my hands are not the ones actually moving it. So that's where your expertise comes in, by explaining your decisions, what you do and why you're doing it. You're not just completing a task, but you're taking the time to educate your client, which again will build trust in the process and strengthen that relationship. So eventually, especially if they're a new client, eventually, say 3, 6 months or a year later, they will no longer ask you those questions because they already understand what you're doing. So another phrase or another option to, well, that's just how it's done, could be, we recommend this strategy because, or based on whatever trend or experience you have implemented or learned, it has a proven track record of achieving whatever desired outcome that they want for similar clients. So that's showing your expertise, that's showing your experience. It's a verbal case study. A little transparency goes a long way. I don't think you need to have that fear that they're going to take your strategy and go do it themselves, because the goal is, the focus is keeping them informed and involved and setting yourself up for success and a long-term partnership, which, as a service provider who loves retainer clients, that to me is the goal. That is how I measure success, is how long a client is with me. Because if they're with me for 2 years, that means I'm doing something right and I'm helping them consistently meet their goals.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty cool to look at your client list and look back and say, yeah, I've been with this person since the beginning. I have a client 2 months into launching my business. I landed a client and I'm still with her today, which is pretty awesome. And I think that's, again, like when it comes to building relationships and knowing what you're doing, it's actually pretty cool. Another way that you are able to build better relationships with your clients is to exceed expectations. So you want to develop a reputation as an independent professional who delivers outstanding results. So I can do a task for a client and they say, hey, can you go ahead and organize this work? Make sure that Asana is up to date and send it out to the team. And then if I see that there's something like a bottleneck, something that is like missing or not in the right process, although, yeah, we've created SOPs, but things change over time. So then I can go in and say, hey, like this needs to be changed. This is how I think what the best solution is. So you're problem solving, you're ensuring that your client and their business and the team is set up for success. You just don't want to oversell yourself and promise unrealistic results because people do this. They say, yes, I can edit this YouTube video and like sell themselves on it. Then you edit this video and then you realize I cannot do that. I've had people come to me asking if I can edit podcasts. I said, no, like that is not my thing. Like I could say like, I have knowledge of the podcast industry. I know what goes on behind the scenes because I've been in it for the last couple of years. But one thing I do not know how to do is edit. So I have had to be very open with that. Although, yeah, I would like to have more work, but that is one thing I am not doing because I know that that is not my skill set. So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I need this job done, can you do it? Can you really do it? So you don't want to like have these unrealistic results thinking that you may be able to do something. And then you're just going to, unfortunately, maybe lose a client if you say that you can do something. So you don't want to oversell yourself, but you still want to impress your client by being able to do a project, a task that you already have the skill set for and position yourself as someone that they would like to continue to work with you.
Hey there, listeners. Ever feel like you're struggling to connect with customers or lead your team effectively? That's where soft skills come in.
Entrepreneur Encounter isn't just another podcast. We're a community dedicated to helping early stage entrepreneurs like you master the soft skills that make or break a business.
Technical skills are important, but without communication, collaboration, and confidence, your business might never get off the ground to the next level.
In our membership, Dana and I share actionable insights and tips to help you nurture the soft skills you need to thrive.
Give you access to bonus content, workshops, and a network of like-minded entrepreneurs who are all on the same journey.
We'll teach you how to boost your confidence,
become a leader who inspires and motivates your team,
navigate conflict like a pro,
to resolve disagreements without drama and build stronger relationships,
communicate clearly and concisely, get your message across, build trust, and close the deal.
If you're ready to take your business to the next level, join the circle by clicking the link in the show notes. Something that goes along with the expectations and things, I would like to just caveat, if it is a service that you are interested in learning and honing and developing, and someone asks you, again, with the transparency, just be honest with them and say, hey, this is something I've been dabbling in for my own business. I'm more than happy and willing to do it for yours, but keep in mind, I'm new at this. So you're not going to charge them expert rates. You should still be making money from it because you're spending time doing it, but let them know your skill level. Be honest and transparent. And they may not want to work with you, but they may do so. That's just the leap of faith you're going to have to take. And to help with that is to understand your clients' goals, their values, their communication preferences. You need to know more than just their name and like just their business name and their social media handles. Like, really take time to grasp those things. When you understand a client's objectives, you can tailor your approach to achieve them. So you will know how to communicate effectively and confidently. I'm new at this, but they've already seen your work on other things. So they're willing to trust you to learn this skill for them and to pay you for that time. They respect your opinions. It lays a strong foundation for a successful partnership. So how do you unlock understanding of your client's goals? The other side of communication, of not just talking, is to listen. Pay close attention to what your clients say and how they say it. I'm a big believer in it's not always what you say, but how you say something. Because I can, with a happy voice, fuss at my children and they're not going to hear me. I got to change how I'm saying it so it breaks through their attentions. And now they're focused on like, okay, I need to clean up my room, or my team knows like this is a project that we cannot get behind on because of how I am saying it. I don't have to be rude. I just have to convey like, this is important. So with your clients specifically, do they value frequent check-ins and detailed updates? Or are they more hands-off and preferring to connect only for appointments or key decisions? So I have clients that love our weekly check-ins. I have others, we were doing weekly and she's like, I genuinely don't have time for this. I want to meet you once a month. So we switched it. We personalized our approach and our communication preferences so that she will have a running list of updates, maybe at the beginning of the week, and she can tweak it based on our quarterly session. And then we give her at the end of the month an update on all of those tasks of where we are. We remind her of the things that she still needs to provide for us so that we can do other tasks. And we just kind of keep the work going that way. There is no one size fits all. You can still have a mapped out client workflow, and I highly recommend doing that. But don't let it be so rigid that you can't provide some flexibility to adapt to your client's communication style. It creates a much more positive experience and ultimately sets everyone up, both sides up for success.
Yes, for sure. Communication. We're just going to keep saying that over and over again.
Communication is definitely more than talking. It's talking and listening.
Yeah. And a lot goes into it. So I think you already touched on this, Dana, but speaking your client's language by, how do you prefer to communicate? I have clients that communicate through text, communicate through emails, communicate through Slack. So I've noticed that some say, this is the only way I'm going to communicate like with you. I know that you're going to have your preference because some people prefer just to email, some just prefer to text, but you want to make sure that you're meeting your clients on their level. Some don't like emailing, some prefer text. Some are a little iffy about giving out their phone number, but you have to make sure that you're communicating with your client in some way. So if something is not working, then obviously you can offer suggestions and see what is a great tool for them to be able to communicate with you.
So suggestions for that, if you don't want to give out your number, I use Google Workspace. And within Google Workspace is like Google Phone or Google something.
Google Voice?
Google Voice.
Yeah.
And you can have a private number essentially. But the good thing about that is you get the transcripts in your email.
Ooh.
So that if you need to search for it, like later, and you're trying to remember something, you don't have to scroll through a text. You can search in your inbox and you'll be able to find it. There's also Google Chat, which is an app that I use with clients. If they don't want to download Slack, majority of them have Gmail, so they can easily get Google Chat and we can text that way back and forth. If you want to be rigid in your communication, at least adapt to like maybe a different texting app through one of those channels and utilize what you have access to. And that also helps with your privacy if you want to keep it that way. Because I don't like giving my number out unless I have to. And so that's been something that I utilize. After we've worked together for a while, then yes, I will give them my number if we need to. But usually by then we don't have to. In addition to those communication tools, I also highly recommend organizing your project delivery to create a positive impression. So one of the ways that we do that, the tools that I use, I have email. I use Honeybook so I can deliver everything in a nice fancy smart file. I have clients that deliver everything like their wedding timelines, their mood boards, their welcome guides, like a welcome letter, all in Canva. They make it look really nice and pretty. It's all personalized, but it is a template and it's all in Canva. So they'll email them via Honeybook, attach that via however they download it, they hyperlink it a variety of ways. But their documents and proposals all are being delivered in a very elevated, personalized feel. So they feel valued because you're taking the time to give them something pretty as opposed to like, here it is, period. Let's get started. If you can, I know we've talked about this before, like hand delivering of certain like materials. So when I get a new client, I do like, I think we've talked about this before, but I hand write a thank you note for doing business with me. I had a insurance client that liked that touch. And because I did it for them, they wanted to implement it in their own business for when they got new clients to their book or whatever it's called, or when they met with a current client during a review, they got a handwritten card afterwards, thanking them for their time. We're excited to make these adjustments to help them meet their needs because he does a lot of like retirement things. And so making sure they're on their goals and wealth building and stuff. So it makes a big difference, but it costs him so little to do. So it built like a lot of, I don't even want to say trust. It just made them feel valued by taking that minute to do it. And then honestly, as I was going to get my kids, I passed the post office. So it's not even an additional out of my way. I can just throw them in there and go. And his clients were feeling appreciated and with that personal touch.
Yes, appreciation. To having that great client service that we've talked about. For example, a few months ago, I had to rent a car from Enterprise. And let me tell you, these people, the way they interacted with me and the customer service calling to check in, like, hey, how's the car? I'm like, told them, I'm like, kudos to you. Like, you are giving great customer service. I literally said that to them. They called me like 3 times over a course of like 4 days. Like, hey, just checking in. And last year I did the same thing. I rented a car at a different place, at a different enterprise. They did not do that. And I even told them that. I was like, look, you are giving, like, I was so happy and I had to let them know that they are doing a great job. And it's like showing the appreciation.
That hands-on access. I think once you become a service provider, you start noticing it and like the good and the bad, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
So my background is events and food service. And when I go to weddings or honestly, even at a restaurant, I was like, if that's a negative experience, I'm like, they were probably not properly trained, probably having a really bad day, or they just should not be in the service industry. They need to go do something else. My husband is the first one to tell you that. He does not like talking to people. He chooses to be a mechanic because he doesn't have to talk to a lot of people. It exhausts him. He does not have the patience for it all the time. Whereas me, I could be having a bad day and I'm going to be very like transparent. When I was in my first pregnancy, I had a scare, like a full on scare while I was at work, and I was working the front desk at a hotel. So like maintaining a positive energy and attitude when people are checking in is like your top number one goal when you're checking someone in. And I was like waiting on someone to come in so that I could go to the doctor because that's like, I was panicking and I didn't want anyone to know. So like in between people checking in, like I literally was in the back, like crying, like freaking out internally while I waited on my manager to show up. But the appreciation that they had for me keeping things moving was amazing. And the trust that they had that I could continue to move things forward. They didn't question me anymore after that. I mean, everything ended up being okay. My son is fine. He's 9 years old. But delivering that professional, it's important to me. So like I eat, sleep, and breathe customer service.
Yeah.
I eat, sleep, and breathe building relationships with everyone that I come in contact with, and I portray that, I look for those moments to go the extra mile and to like put my personal, as best I can, to put my personal aside and like, okay, we're going to make you happy so that you come back. Woo, my goodness. I love to make sure people know I have my act together, at least in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it. I notice it a lot. Like when you're going out, like you said, like you start to, when you're serving industry service, you have clients, customer service, you start to pick up on things. I come from retail and management, and yeah, I'm not going to even get into that because that's a lot.
It is a lot. You can definitely tell that too. So, to sum things up for everybody, remember that communication is key to establish a trustworthy relationship. It's more than just talking to your clients. It's really understanding what they value and incorporating their preferences into your current workflow. A little bit of thought always goes a long way, especially when your goal is to build respect and appreciation for a long-term successful partnership. And just like when you go out and you're in a store or getting your hair done or whatever, you want to be treated like a person. And we need to treat our clients like people and not just someone increasing your revenue. As always, in the show notes, we'll have all the links to connect with us. We'll have our membership in the show notes as well if you're interested in that and been hearing about it. And we look forward to talking with y'all again.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Remember, soft skills aren't just some fluffy buzzwords that get thrown around in the corporate world. They're the key to unlocking your full potential as a professional and a human being. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself and seek out opportunities to improve your soft skills. Sarah and I have a variety of workshops, online courses, and complimentary clarity calls for you to practice in real time with us. Links are always in the show notes. And be sure to join us next time for more insights, tips, and tricks to help you succeed in your entrepreneur encounter.